What's up? What's up? What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of the Side Eye. I'm Uptown Bobby,
And I'm K Clark.
and we are back post July 4th. If you don't celebrate it, we don't either. We, but we enjoyed the day off.
I had to work, but yeah, with
Oh
holiday money,
damn.
so yeah,
Oh man. Well, yeah. At least they made it
yeah, yeah,
worth it.
yeah.
Um. So we're just gonna jump right into it. The reason why I mentioned July 4th, not because it's the most recent holiday that just passed, but every July 4th weekend is the traditional um, Essence Fest. It's an annual event that happens in New Orleans. Um, I think it's been in New Orleans since its inception. I think the only years it hasn't been in New Orleans were like during the Katrina years, but I think it moved to Houston. But Essence Fest is a staple and black festivals. I really don't know what you could compare it to other than well, I'm trying to think of another quote unquote black festival because Essence was the first that really. I mean, maybe you could think about the Tom Joyner cruise, but as old
Well,
as the Essence Fest,
okay, yeah, because I was thinking like the
yeah.
Roost picnic. That's
Oh Lord,
after.
and that's another disaster. But
There's something similar. Well, I guess as far as cultural relevance to the Black community, I guess Bayou Classic, it's more sports oriented, but
hmm and Afro Punk came to mind. But the Essence Festival, and to be clear, I don't want to speak for K Clark, but I've never been to Essence Festival.
I haven't either. It is.
And that's more so because Essence Fest, even before the term and phrase "grown and sexy" existed, it's always had that kind of air to it. Like
Auntie
it
Con.
was, yeah, Auntie Con. It was for the grown and sexy. I really felt like unless you lived in New Orleans, I really felt like you couldn't go to Essence Fest until you was like 25. And that's not a real rule. That's just something I said. And I've only wanted to go to Essence Fest twice, and that was one year when Prince was the headliner, and another year, last year I wanted to go for the Hot Boy reunion. But yeah, so Essence Fest happened this past July 4th weekend, and this had to be one of the most controversial Essence Fest in a long time because it was just a lot of people who had a problems with the lack of vendors, the show times, even the card itself had a lot of complaints from not only locals but also people who attended, tourists and whatnot. Um, this is the first time I've seen people be so vocal about how bad Essence Fest was. Usually it's always a lineup with like a lot of popular neo soul acts. Every once in a while you'll get. I think Essence Fest is trying to get more modern, so you see a lot of younger acts. You'll see a her. You'll see. I think Megan was there a few years ago.
Yeah,
Janelle
we
Monae.
talked about that, yeah, because in the
Yeah, we
already had
did.
an
Yeah.
issue with that, yeah. So
Janelle
yeah,
Monae was there that last time we talked about it, and that was kind of controversial in itself because um it didn't her music, her act didn't really match the Essence audience. And I think that's something else we're gonna delve into. Uh Essence is having an identity crisis. I think it's a traditional it's still an audience that's more boomers and Gen X, and I think they're still accustomed to it being a certain pace in a certain way versus the millennials and Gen Z, who I think both have an appreciation for those legacy acts, but also I think they kind of want to see a little variety too. Now, granted, I don't know Essence budget. I don't think they can. I don't think they got Beyonce money, but I'm like, do they have Solange money? I think Solange would be a good draw. I think she was. I remember. I think when what's the name of the first album? The one with cranes in the sky on it.
see at the
Uh,
table,
I see it at the table. I
yeah.
think she had a. a sit or she closed during that era. But I don't think she's been back since. And
Mm.
so basically, we just talk about what are your thoughts about the Essence Fest feedback and criticism, and what do you think Essence Fest needs to do to make itself, I'm not gonna say relevant, but maybe give people the experience that they want, or can they even meet all these demands? Are they even realistic to be met?
Well, also I would add to what you said that also a lot of artists, including Symphony Mills, talking about how there were technical issues, logistical issues that made performing difficult. So that's another issue as well. I mean, if you got an artist like Symphony Mills saying there were problems, um, that's a problem. Because I mean, obviously she's not some new person that's like her first time. She's been performing for, decades. So she complained about technical issues. The reason why Lauryn Hill went on so late was because Essence had technical issues as far as, you know, t timing and the lateness of performances, because everybody was arguing, I think it was Lauryn Hill's fault because of reputation, but it was actually, even Essence posted a thing on Instagram saying it was like, basically their fault why
Right.
she went on so late. Um, I mean, as far as Essence goes, I wonder because I saw another person. I've seen people comment about it. I wonder if Girls Trip ended up being a curse in disguise, in a way, because Girls Trip came out what 2017. So it
Hmm.
was basically based around these four women, going to the Essence Festival and really highlighting it in a way that maybe blew it up to the mainstream in a way that it hadn't been before. Before that, it was more so people knew about it, but it wasn't like Coachella. But
Right, right, right.
and then it kind of mainstreamed it in a way that maybe could have low key backfired because I've seen people say like things shifted, the crowd shifted. It's not people aren't talking about it as much since that happened. I wonder if it was a case of like it put a spotlight on it and then it kind of just maybe made things sort of deteriorate in a way because people maybe had these people maybe went to New Orleans for like a girl trip experience, but were maybe let down, or maybe those who live in the city maybe they felt pushed out maybe for vendors go. I'm not sure.
Right, and that's been a real thing with people there being pushed out because they've had several laws passed that have regulated who can be vendors and who can sell things, and it's pushed out a lot of locals.
Mm,
It's made it almost I'm not gonna say impossible, but it's made it very costly to have a table, booth, or whatnot during Essence Fest, a time where a lot of locals typically make some good money because
mm,
of the
tourism, yeah.
tourist. Yeah, so that's something too that needs to be resolved. And it's just the thing I like about New Orleans, and sometimes the thing that can be annoying is how they can be a bit tribalist. And I think they're only that way because they've had so many people come and try to take from New Orleans. Like people
Mm,
always take from New Orleans, but they don't really give to New Orleans.
mm.
And I think the locals are. What'd you say?
I was gonna say if New York is a place where people go to sort of reinvent themselves into somebody else, New Orleans is the place where people go to like do wild shit and then just leave. You know what
Right,
I
right.
mean?
Either leave
It's
or
like
buy like a summer house or
yeah,
some shit.
it's like Vegas but without the sort of
The scale, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Right.
It's like, oh,
And
I go to I go to another act rational. I don't want to do anything else down
yeah,
there because no.
right. And people romanticize New Orleans a lot too. It's like, they come, they go, the food, the Bourbon Street, whatever, then they leave and they don't really talk about the people. They don't talk about the locals. They just talk about, oh, we got fucked up
Mm,
and then we left. You know what I'm saying? It's not like
yeah.
an appreciation for the culture or for the everyday people who live there. And that's always something that's going to be a problem with New Orleans because it's so distinct there.
Mm,
It's so distinct that I've heard New Orleans locals say they're not even Louisiana, they're New Orleans. Like, they'll tell you if you from Shreveport or if you from Alexandria, if you from Natchitoches, or if you from anywhere outside of the 504, close to three, outside 337, they'll be like, oh, you from Arkansas or Texas or that ain't. It's a it's a lot of like I said, tribalism kind of with them. But I think it comes from an honest place because they're so used to people coming just to take. And I think with Essence Fest, it's starting to get there that point to where I think some of the locals don't feel like it's the Essence Fest of old. They feel like now it's just they almost feel like it's a stranger, and I think that's the problem. But I've also heard some people say that people need to stop complaining because people do this every year, and now with social media, people like to the complaining is louder than the people who enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And then
It,
also, what's that?
but there's some people that I know, classmates, whoever that went down there and they seem to have a good time, so there's that as well.
Right,
So,
right. And I
um,
had a friend who went, and she had a good time. But I have a friend from New Orleans. Her name is Kanisha, and she made a post. She said these artists aren't
oh, the cameras
these.
out.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Dang, I don't know how to balance my phone. I guess, but hold on. But it's gonna be
Yeah.
quick. It's gonna be a quick read.
Yeah.
Uh, she said these artists ain't yesterday artists. Today's festival structure ain't yesterday's festival structure. Things change. Like, bro, the show will still go on, and the people that came here to have a good time will. And also support more black businesses so they can afford to sponsor events of this caliber. And you won't harp about Target doing so. Spend more black-owned business so they can afford to vend and give freebies at the convention center. The
Mm,
complaining is becoming tone deaf.
mm.
So, and that's
Uh,
from a local.
I know in terms of Target, I know I saw a post by like Shamika Mallory, the actress, actually saying that she supported Essence, but she couldn't go because I guess the politics wasn't right as far as the ongoing boycott Target. Which to that I believe I don't know for sure, but I believe that Essence has like already signed like a years long contract with Target, so if they push Target out, they'd be in breach of contract, which is probably why Target was there. So I mean, if you signed it pre the boycott, you kind of have to,
Also,
yeah,
man,
you know.
also the Target, let's be real, man. The Target boycott in some way, shape, form, or fashion, sometimes it's a lot of grandstanding. Um, like I said, people should absolutely want to boycott Target off of GP alone. But I think criticizing people who still go there, and like I said, it's a choice. It is a choice to go there. I wouldn't so much say that Uncle Tom's a Coons because there's no real such thing as ethical consumption. But I'm not gonna cape for nobody who still shop at Target, but I'm also not gonna throw tomatoes to somebody that shop at Target. Because Target has been anti-black before they made or but however we found out that they were no longer allies to DEI initiatives, just as far as the wages and just the overall treatment of black workers at Target,
Hmm.
has always been a thing. So I think, like I said, I think there's nothing wrong with boycotting Target. I think we should boycott more brands, but I'm not going to grandstand, right? I'm not going to act like I have a moral superiority over someone who still chooses to shop at Target or what I'm saying? Like the Essence thing and Target being a vendor, like you said, it more than likely is a contracted obligation. Because Target, like many brands, they play the black card when it's convenient. They have the black commercials with the black people going in there shopping. They got the black creators like Tabitha Brown, and they'll have some black imprint. And I think they sell those. I don't. I'm forgetting the brand, but I've seen the shirts there that have like the Black Panther stuff on it, or thank black women and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
it's at the end of the day, from them, it's just business. But I understand black people also choosing not to support Target. But I don't think I think sometimes it's a form of grandstanding by other people who kind of want to have a moment under the sun, I guess, or a moment to puff their chest out.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
I mean, pretty much the same. I think, if you can do it, then I would I would suggest that you do it, as far as boycotting, if you can do what you can, basically, because I mean. I live in a small town. She ports rivers to the small town. I mean, what options do we got as far as shopping? We got Walmart, we got Target, we got Progress, we got Super One, and that's about it. And Sam's Club. So I mean, when people suggest things like, "Oh, go to Costco, go to Aldi, go to Whole Foods," where the nearest Aldi is in Lafayette. Whole Foods, fuck no, too expensive. You know,
We got an Audi now.
oh yeah,
Yeah, but like you
Costco.
said, that's still
We'll have
our
Costco.
own.
So yeah, we'll have a Costco. So I mean, it's what shouldn't shame people for doing what they can, to for what they have to do because I mean, you may not be able to get to the store, if it's hours away or this is if Walmart is actually cheaper for you than, like I said, an Aldi or a Whole Foods, you have to be practical with this because I mean, like I said, people can do what they can, but you also have to be realistic, in terms of what people can do and survive. But getting back to what you said about Essence having an identity crisis, in a way, yeah, because at this point, they got several generations they're trying to please. You got the baby boomers who still come out who want to see Shaka Khan and Diana Ross and Anita Baker and so on and so forth. You got your Gen X folks that want to see Janet, and want to see probably want to see like Mary and like SWV and all the 90s
Hmm.
artists, Method Man and so on and so forth. Then you got us who want to see, our artists. Because I think, I still think, especially among boomers and Gen X, they still think of us as the college kids. For us,
They still do,
for
consider
us, I
that
was
we're
like,
almost
right,
40.
right. So, but we want to see at this point artists who are veteran artists. We want to see a Solange. We want to see a possibly a Kendrick Lamar or see the Hot Boys reunited or see um you know, Ashanti, or any artist from like the Y2K, late 90s, 2010s era, basically. And so we got, and then you maybe have some Gen Z folks who are starting to come up, the older Gen Z, sort of side Gen Z who may come and they want to see Summer Walker, they want to see a SZA, who say the millennial artist, but they want to see their people. So that's a lot of hats, that's a lot of balls keeping in the air, and you can't keep them all there because I mean you could try, but like you're never gonna pick a headline that everybody's happy with. You
Right.
pick you pick Diana Ross. I mean, the Gen Zers will probably respect her, but it's like, are they gonna get down to upside down? Maybe. You pick Mary J. Blige. Gen X gonna go for it, but the boomers may be like, I don't know, I don't care for her like that. Or or whatever. You pick Summer Walker. You know, boomers be like, who?
Hmm.
What the baby sing?
Right.
So I mean, you can't. There's no way to please everybody. You know, as far as the headliner goes, I think you can diversify the day by day lineup for people. As far as including artists from different genres, different generations, not just necessarily R&B and soul, but throw some rock in there. Throw a little country in there. You know, um, and maybe not the main stage, but like smaller stages.
Hmm.
Um, so I do think there's some from identity crisis because for so long I think Essence catered to a certain type of black woman, which I feel weird saying because we're not talking ordinary for Essence, but I think they cater to like a certain type of black woman, like an
No, it
overly
did. Essence.
like an overly mobile,
Hmm.
middle class on her way to middle
Yeah,
class,
college educated.
college educated, classical X type, that type of woman, for
Yeah.
so long. And I think now things have shifted to where, people are looking for more than that from Essence.
Right.
So,
Very much so. And I think that like you said, they're doing the best they can for
mhm,
what they got. You can't just book Beyonce every year. One, it'd be hella expensive, but
mhm,
also it's just not realistic. It's not feasible, because that's the only artist you probably could book that just ever made everybody want to be like, okay, let's go. But that's not realistic. So you just have to do the best you can. You have to try to please your home base. You have to try to draw new people to come because let's be real, some people are getting older and they might not be able to make it to New Orleans. Somebody made a point where they said maybe they need to focus on changing the date because some people were like, Juneteenth has become a national holiday, and more Black people are inclined to celebrate Juneteenth weekend, and then with July 4th, they just maybe stays local, you
mhm.
know. So I mean, that's an idea to consider. I think somebody said something about moving it like annually, I think that's a bad idea. I just think Essence has too much history in New Orleans.
Mm.
Um, some people might not want to, for some people, New Orleans is not the quote unquote sexy tourist site like it used to be. Some people say that post Katrina ain't been the same. Some people say it just changed, whatever. But I mean, if that's how you feel, stay the fuck home. Um, but I just don't think it'll have the same gravitas or just the same experience if you moved it annually around places. Also, I just think then you'll have like where could you move it if you moved it annually? You could just move it to Atlanta, Houston, and what maybe the DMV. I don't know. I don't
Well,
think it'll have the same.
Philly, Chicago, Detroit,
Yeah, yeah, but
LA, but like Black LA.
yeah, and I mean that's an idea, but I just don't think. I don't think Essence has the budget to do that.
Mm,
I think they have a kind of like a partnership with the city. They know the city. The
mm,
city expects them. It's quid pro quo. You go somewhere else, they might expect more money. They might have stricter, rules. You just don't know how it'll go if you try to do the whole city thing every year. That's kind of exhausting your resources, you know.
mm.
Um, then you'll have I just think that's too much, and then other people have suggested that maybe it's just time to like just hang it up, and that's definitely beyond my pay grade. I can't say that. I can't say hang up something that I ain't never been to. So
I think the key is refocusing on the local people, like making them feel included, making them feel a part of what's happening as far as the businesses go. Because I mean, if they feel included, they'll tell their people, who will tell their people, and then that'll drive at least that part of it. Because they feel included, they are more likely to spread the word. Either online, in person, wherever they're saying, Essence really cares about the local community. They're pouring back in the community. They're not just coming and taking and leaving. You know, I think that'll go a long way to solving some of the criticism. As far as
right.
the logistical stuff, that's more of a technical thing that's got to be worked out. I guess somebody getting fired, in the words of Beyonce. You know, as far as the musical lineup, I think, like I said, I don't think one headliner is going to please everybody, just like Coachella. I think you probably don't please everybody. I think what they could do, I'm not sure what the format is right now. What they probably could do, like I said, is have different things happening at the same time. You have the main stage with like the bigger names, but have the younger or indie or local artists like taking the bangers could probably do like a medium sized stage, you know, and hold a decent sized crowd. You could have Big Frida do like maybe opening night. You could have
Yeah.
you could probably have and then on the list, and then like I said, other artists that are like underground or in New Orleans or just in any artists in general, newer artists, you can have them on one stage while artists from like another genre on another stage and like the bigger artists on the main stage.
Oh, they
So
might need to think about consolidating this as far as like the days.
hmm,
Maybe just do one big day,
yeah, or
like
it's
one
like
like
yeah, maybe
like a
2 days
Sunday.
or maybe two like Coachella 2 weekends, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, but
Like
they
a June,
also
like
um
Juneteenth one weekend, and then the fourth one weekend, maybe.
well
I mean,
yeah.
that's a little spread out,
That's
but I
a
mean,
that's a
you know,
that's an idea. Also, maybe also I think people don't take it into the economic standpoint we're in right now. Like it's hard out here, man. Like nigga, it is hard. Niggas is like the price of eggs, the price of everything. Now, don't get me wrong. People make money. People will find money for shit they want to do. Like, cause it's people that I know that broke as hell, but they seen Beyonce, they seen Renaissance, and they saw Cowboy Carter.
Klarna,
So, what'd you
Klarna.
say?
No,
Right.
no, no, it's Klarna, Zip,
Oh yeah, that shit. Yeah,
Afterpay,
yeah.
all
Right.
all the
So,
girls, yeah.
right. So it's people doing stuff to make stuff happen. However, it's just a tricky time because let's say I made plans to go see Beyonce, right? Now Beyonce only had this tour wasn't as many dates as Renaissance. And I had to be strategic with my shit. Let's say I live in New Orleans or Houston or whatever. but I wanted to go see her in LA maybe. Or maybe I just decided to go to the Houston show. So I gotta think about if I live outside of Houston, I gotta think about not only the ticket, I gotta think about the cost of transport if I'm gonna drive, am I gonna fly, what I'm gonna eat, the
Yeah, you,
costume, because you know everybody doing the looks.
you
It's
gotta do
almost like cosplay at this
you
point.
gotta do it for the goddamn ground.
You gotta do it for the gram, for the TikTok, all
Yeah.
that shit. Then you gotta
Uh,
think about the merch. If you're
where you
gonna
gonna
buy
sleep?
merch, yeah, room and board, yeah, yeah, all that shit is a factor. So if I'm doing all that, and then SFS come around, I'm like, man, I'm broke as hell. I'm trying to recover from Beyonce. I ain't got. I'll go next year.
Which
Shit,
I
I
think
ain't really want.
she did do a July 4th show, I believe, didn't she? I
Yeah, I
think
think in
yeah. So
DC.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's just tricky, man, and I think Essence is just gonna have to figure it out. I think they have the resources. I think they just need to commit to the people in New Orleans, take account the city, and then people also gotta, I ain't gonna say lower your expectations, but nigga is essence. Like, I mean, just
Well, no one festival can be all things to all people. You just can't.
mm-hmm.
Whatever festival you think of, whether that's Coachella, whether that's Burning Man, whether that's Bonnaroo, whether that's
Right.
Essence,
Lollapalooza, all that shit.
Lollapalooza, Bruce Picnic, it's they all are trying to fill a certain niche. Like
Hmm.
you can't go to Essence and expect Afro punk energy all day. It's not gonna happen. It's
Right,
like you would go to Afro punk and expect Essence Fest energy. It's just two different things,
right.
entities. You know.
Right. Because I remember I had some friends that they were kind of opposed to Beyonce headline Coachella because they was like, she gonna bring that auntie energy. And they was like, man, hell no. Because Coachella's kind of like, it's eclectic, but it's like the music lovers slash I'm finna get fucked up on drugs and kind of just hang out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so expensive.
You can get fucked up and go to Reno alone.
Right, right, right.
Shit.
Right, exactly. So I had some friends that didn't like the crowd she was possibly gonna bring, but
Uh,
however, it's so many people at Coachella that that shit didn't even really matter.
mm,
But like you said, you can't emulate different festivals at different spaces. You know what I'm saying? Like even with Essence Fest being what it is, it's still not gonna have the same energy as the Roots Picnic. Uh, which is another festival that owe a lot of people money, apologies and shit too. So I mean,
I,
it's tough, man. It's really hard to pull off a festival nowadays. Like,
yeah, I will just in my very limited experience because I was part of a group a few years ago. We put on a local festival called Culture Fest for 2 years, and I will say
mhm.
this from that. I mean, it was a lot just for that 1 day festival that we tried to put together. It was yeah. It's like
It's
from
so many moving parts.
just it's logistics, dealing with the city, then dealing with the artists, people having their music together, not having cursing in their music. People feel like, well, I ain't this, yeah. Even with
Yeah.
Sin La Pride, I had a limited role there as well, like trying to find acts, trying to book them, people backing out at the last minute, and then from what I heard, what from just years dealing with the queens, as far as performing and booking people and having sure people have their room board together, just yeah. It's a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. So I'm rooting for Essence. I hope they're able to figure out the next path. Like I said, I can't even say I will go to Essence because I'll be lying to myself because it ain't really just been nothing I just really wanted to do. But I love the idea. I love the brand. I remember reading Essence. I used to like reading just magazines for fun because we grew up when magazines were like a relevant medium. So I used to like reading Essence. I thought the covers would be interesting, and many times they had really good writers. Now the brand, like many magazine brands, have taken a hit because people don't really read magazines like they used to. Everything's digital now, but they still
Mm.
print, and I still see the covers. I look through them, and whatever. But uh, I'm rooting for them, man, and I'm rooting for New Orleans as well. And I think everything will come together. I think Essence. I'm not gonna say it's too big to fail because obviously it has failed, but I think it's one of those. It's such a strong brand and such a strong festival that I think it will survive this, like it survived any other year that people just didn't have a great experience. It'll be okay.
Mm.
It's resilient, like like black people. Shit.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think you will grow? Do you see yourself going any year in the near future or?
Uh, maybe. I guess it probably depends on who's going to be performing and what all's going on. I think um, it just depends. It's not. It would be at the top of my list, but I wouldn't rule out going.
Hmm. Right. The dominoes fell.
Mm.
Uh, Speaking of uh essence and a man who probably a man who really ain't for black women or really black people, period, depending on your views. We've talked about the case somewhat on the show. We haven't done like no deep dives. We've done just talks about like the power dynamic and how we got here. But P. Diddy, Sean Combs, he is he was found not guilty on most of his charges. I think
Mm.
he's only being charged with what
Sex trafficking,
uh
or he was found guilty on transportation to engage in prostitution. So those two charges.
right, which is really not a lot of time. I think if he was fully held to the extent of the law, he would do 20 years, and I
Mm.
don't think that's going to happen. But the racketeering charges have been dismissed. He's I'm not gonna say he's a
And sex trafficking is
and the
is
sex trafficking, yeah. So he's not absolutely a free man. I mean, he still has a lot of stuff to go through as far as the mandates and all that, and exactly resolving what, like, if he is going to serve any time, or you know, all the other legal aspects that I am not an expert in. But he won. I mean, he won in the aspect that he will not be going away. He's not going to get the Bill Cosby or the R. Kelly jail sentence. More than likely, he is going to just pay the money and pay the fines, and he might not be allowed to leave the country at the worst, but it's a win for him. Now, has his brand taken a hit? Absolutely. Uh, he's been reduced to a meme at this point. Now, when people talk about him, it's all about baby oil, quote unquote, being gay or freaky, and just yeah,
Somebody said a Frico, not a Rico out there. That sign going around on the internet.
right. So, what are your thoughts about the verdicts, and what do you think about his overall image right now after everything's been pretty much sorted out?
I'm not totally surprised, but also am kind of surprised as far as I mean, I'm not sure. I was never sure about the RICO because I'm not a lawyer. I can't get the ins and out of that. I mean, I think basically what RICO they were saying, they were trying to say that he was operating on a criminal enterprise basically through his company. Which again, I can't speak to how well the prosecution laid that out or not. But it was a sex trafficking. I mean, I am a bit surprised with that because we all saw the video of Cassie. Like the video is of her literally trying to leave him in the middle of a freak off, and him basically, and what we saw was a condensed version, and basically him running out in the hallway, beating her down, and dragging her back to a sexual encounter that she did not want. Like if that's not sex trafficking, then what is? you know. But I think the jury probably looked at it as okay, he ain't shit, he an abuser, but he's not a sex trafficker. And that's how I took it. That's probably how I think it's kind of what the defense was saying that he's like a bad. He has flaws. He has anger issues, but he's not a sex trafficker. Um, so as far as like the time I think he'll serve, I think he'll probably serve maybe a few years, maybe. He'll probably get 3 to 5 years and maybe get like a reduced sentence and then get out early or whatever, you know. Um, so I think that's probably what will happen. I know he's supposed to be sentenced in October, and he's going to be in jail until then. Which I heard that when that happened, he had like a surprise look on his face, like couldn't believe he's going to be in jail till October. Like nigga. but yeah, so there's that. As far as his reputation, I think as far as like amongst the mainstream, like that sort of role he played of being the sort of arbiter of like black culture to like mainstream America, I think that's pretty much a wrap because they got Jay-Z for that number one. And I mean, just he's too there's too much toxicity to his name now for the to work in the mainstream sense. As far as amongst like, you know, the community, black folks, I mean, you already see it happening to a degree. Bootsy, never missed the opportunity to be loud and wrong, coming on something talking about, celebrating saying it's a good day for hip hop and how they, need to stop persecuting black men, whatever bullshit. 50 Cent posted some photo of him smiling, saying Diddy's a gay John Gotti. Uh, uh, you know, so you got that aspect of it. I'm sure he probably said something, but maybe it's probably fine. I haven't looked forward, but so and now that said, Boosie, yes, it's a celebrity, but Boosie is like, there's levels. There's
Right.
Boosie, and then there's Beyonce, who or in Jay Z, and then like let's say like a Mary J. Blige, like people that sort of have been in his orbit who I haven't haven't heard say anything. Um,
Oh
so
yeah,
or
they gotta avoid them.
yeah, Carisha, she said something, and she posted something where she like she posted something that I guess it was like supposed to mean like clock it or whatever, like meaning like him being found not guilty. Which I mean, somebody did find like the way in the same cycle that Cassie was in, she may have already been in it before this happened, so she may still feel the need to sort of say with her chest when it comes to him because she may still be in the shit and she may be afraid of what may happen when he gets out. So there's that. Take it for what you will.
Right, yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, I agree with that for sure. You gotta protect yourself, and then
mm,
I mean, you don't have to be as loud,
mm.
but you're
But she may feel the
like,
need to be as loud because to him he may be like, you didn't invite me and come see me, so and then,
mm,
you know.
right.
So in terms of his public reputation, I mean, niggas on niggas. I don't. So you never. So I mean, who knows? Give it 5 years, you may see him pop up at the BET Awards to a standing ovation. I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know. I don't know if it'd be that blatant, but I don't see him. I don't see him returning to where he was overall in terms of his reputation. Like no more Hamptons parties, no more of that. But in terms of like
That
being
we know of,
yeah, that
right.
we know of. In terms of being a presence, like when I say him, I mean like the mainstream white Diddy
Right, right.
party,
I
like
get it, yeah.
not the after party. But in terms of him being like a presence in like black public culture, I mean like
Mm.
the day he got out, I showed it one of the videos, people doing the baby oil and shit.
Oh yeah, that
So
was
I
sad.
mean, and for FYI, I know that videos were going around of one woman in a blue wig getting sprayed with baby oil. That's like a performance artist named Crackhead Barney. So uh, in her case, she may have been like making fun of the niggas that was doing it by taking part in it because that's what
That's
she
her thing.
yeah, satire performance, yeah, performance art. So I'm
Mm.
just yeah,
Yeah, you gotta read the room with that.
but I'm just if for those who want to know. But anyway, but
Right.
like I mean, as far as having a presence in Black popular culture, I mean, the trial has been reduced from a very serious case of like domestic violence, potential sex trafficking, abuse of prostitutes, which that hasn't got highlighted. I mean, you think about what they went through. I mean, right, everybody looks at sex workers like, oh well, they can do what they asked for. But
Mm.
like, I mean, shoot, they went through shit too. You know,
Right.
that all that has been reduced to just baby oil and being freaky.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he got a pass for being freaky on the more, let's say, a homoerotic side because he was beating Cass's ass. Had that not happened, had this been just a case of like, had to say this was Tyler Perry and this came out, I think it'll be a different story.
Mm.
Because it's like they're giving the pass on the gay shit because he's doing the violence shit towards women that they a lot of them niggas have probably done.
Well, do you think he gets the pass on the overall homoerotic part because there's just women involved, period?
Because it was women involved and he was
The
doing
violence.
the toxic
Right.
violence shit to the women. That makes
Hmm.
like, okay, I don't like that shit over there, but this shit over there happened. So I'm taking for that nigga because I know somebody, I've done similar stuff or similar things or whatever,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think no one's truly ever canceled. I mean, we see that with R. Kelly, who has somehow snuck back into the zeitgeist because I see people using his sounds and music on social media, and then his defiant fans have never left. there are people who make it their brand to tell you they still listen to R. Kelly. So, whatever. And then, of course, you still have the people who want Bill Cosby to have his justice and his day and et cetera, whatever. But I think for the most part, like you said, as far as being just a public ambassador for black people, for hip hop, and for mainstream pop culture, I think that's done. At least on the scale that it used to be. I think he's gonna go into kind of like a Russell Simmons type of thing. Like I said, I don't think he'll be allowed to lead the country, but I definitely think he's gonna be more reclusive. I think he's gonna be a little quieter. Um because
OJS.
what'd you say?
OJS.
Yeah, OJ is because like to keep it a buck, people best stop giving a fuck about Diddy. It just he will pop out every once in a
Hmm.
while, he'll do a project or he'll pop up and like I know he likes to dress up on Halloween or
Hmm.
he'll throw a party, but his stock was taking a hit before this recent trial and all the scandals because he just he was aging out. I never forget the Future clip where Future was complaining that P Diddy was invited. He said, "Man, who invited that old ass nigga?" And he was like, "Man, he better have some rock." That's kind of how he was viewed by a lot of people. Even with Drake, there's a situation with him. Drake wrote him a song, but he didn't like it. He didn't think it was a hit. And then Drake made it a hit, and then they had an altercation where allegedly Diddy slapped Drake.
Hmm.
So, right. So he kind of just became
What I
like the
miss?
right. He became like the angry old man, and people
He's always
stopped fucking
angry,
with him.
so.
Right. I think Carisha gave him relevance again. I
Yeah.
think she
Hmm.
kind of brought him back into the public eye and made him kind of cool again. Um, so he really owes her a lot. Uh, but he kind of faded away. But I think he's gonna fade away again. He'll probably just chill out, maybe do some side deals. Of course, he'll still do his parties. Um, you know, you never know how long these people stay gone, or how short people's memories are. Because like you said, it could get to a point where, let's say, 10 years from now, the BET Awards have him on to do some special thing. You know what I'm saying? Or what if his health takes a turn? That changes stuff too. People be like, well, you gotta remember. Or what if he passes away? Then that makes shit even worse. Because then people are like, oh man, Diddy, da, 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 da. It then becomes like an ongoing battle of like, well, you can't judge him and nobody's perfect. And then it'd be like people saying, fuck him. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah. Like I said, I can't think what'll happen, but I don't see him disappearing totally. I don't see him being totally an outcast. I mean, people can still go for Ye, for Nazism and all. See all that
Oh
comes.
yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
people put up with a lot for people that they like. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, those parasocial relationships are very, very, very strong, especially in this day and age, because I think it's almost like I said, fandom has always been a weird thing, right? But I think now with social media and being able to feel like you're closer to these people, I think it's worse. Um,
Well, it
to
also
an extent.
probably helps to like, unlike Chris Brown and Rihanna, Cassie didn't go on to like become, you know, an icon the way that Rihanna did. So it's not, I mean, people can sort of like dismiss her in a way because she didn't really like blow up in the way that,
Right.
Rihanna did, which is probably did it because he controlled her life, you know.
Well, yeah, people will attribute her fame to him, period. They'll be like,
Yeah.
well, if it wasn't for him, we would never know
But
who she
but it's
is.
just the idea of like, people can, if people see Rihanna and know what Chris Brown did to her, they may be like, fuck Chris Brown, but like, but Cassie not so much because like, she doesn't have that same presence that Rihanna has in people's minds and people's emotions and everything else. So, which you shouldn't take that for the people to have empathy, but I mean,
Yeah,
that's
because
part of it.
I saw a lot of people in the court of public opinion turn on Cassie.
I
Like,
think. I think because again, the case became about, oh, he was, y'all can charge a man for being a freak. Tiny, she's another one who came out and saying, oh, we make people feel bad being freaky. Look at the case of her, T.I. got going on with folks. Even Candy, I was surprised, said had to, I think you like this, like something or like something on Instagram, like girl. Wasn't you on the couch saying the lies, the lies, the lies about Phaedra? Like, I mean, come on. I mean, so.
Yeah, it's definitely a what are we doing type situation. But people, when you're black and you reach a certain status, people, especially black people, always make up these boogeyman conspiracy theories that it was all a ploy, it was all something created to take this man down because he was so powerful. And I'm like,
Then he went. I
if this
mean, I mean,
he was rich, but
yeah,
he
it's
wasn't
rich. Yeah,
powerful. Yeah, he was powerful in the worst ways.
yeah.
Like
We talk like it's like
like
1995 or something. Like,
yeah, like he was powerful and like gatekeeping and like fucking over people to continue to stay rich. But
hmm
this nigga went out here just building, equitable housing. He wasn't, just giving people uh higher wages, sustainable jobs. There was none of that. He was
hmm
just a rich nigga who cared only about rich niggas and himself. That was it. He was the type of capitalism that people say they don't like.
hmm
But that's not everybody. A lot of people. I think more people love that type of capitalism than people who don't like capitalism
Yeah.
because it's just it's convenient. It's
Mm.
comforting to a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
inspirational. Like they
hmm
see him and be like, damn. I
Yeah.
could get like that too. He was just a regular nigga like me at one point,
hmm
but he worked so hard.
Yeah,
Okay.
exploitation. But I mean, also, another thing too is that I think the jury, possibly the jury, but I think people in general also too don't understand the nature of consent. The idea that they probably think, oh, well, they read the text or she said, oh, well, she was into it in the beginning. Then if she was at the beginning, then she knew what it was. But okay, well, that's not how consent works. Yeah, she may have been into it the first time, the second time, or the third time, but the fourth time she said, I don't want to do this anymore, and he said, well, you're gonna do it. Then at that point, it becomes coercion. It becomes abuse. But people think, oh, you said yes one time, and then you say yes every time. Like, no,
Hmm.
So I think that's part of it too. I think people that maybe the jury and just the culture in general, we don't have a good idea of what consent means. We don't have a good idea of what how abuse the names of abuse. Like, even in this case, the Cassie case, the evidence is literally there. She was literally trying to leave this man and got beaten down and got dragged back. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's there to, for everybody to
Hmm.
see. And yeah, people acting like, why she didn't leave? You know,
The same way everyday people don't leave situations
Mm,
like that.
mm,
Then you add the type of power and influence this person has. It's
mm,
devastating, man. But I mean, this is a long line of rich people doing what rich people do, and being able to see another day. And
mm,
knowing these type of people, I don't think this is his last incident. He's gonna. Well, I think I'm a legend. He's gonna be smart and he's gonna be clear of trouble and bullshit. But I mean, once you got away with something like this, what makes you? Well, why would he think he couldn't do it again? So,
Well, I mean, that's what OJ thought, but he got caught checking out stuff in Vegas. That's what
right.
did him in. So maybe it may not be related to this, but it could be related to something else, given that he may think he could get away with anything,
Mhm.
possibly. So I guess there's like a silver line to maybe that he may still think he's above everything so much that he just fucks up again a different way this time. You know, it'll be
Yeah.
put him in jail for a while. If you believe in prison, they got the abolition of the same, or they should just take all his money and distribute it amongst his victims. Depower that nigga. But which that's an option.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that would hurt more than prison, really. But I mean, that's unfortunately that's not the world we live in. So,
mm,
um, but yeah, that's Diddy, man, in a nutshell. So while we're in the music industry topic, Billboard Music released a list last month of the was it 75?
Hmm
75 greatest R&B singers, artists, I should say, because some people biggest hang up was the singing part, and I'm like, well, it's not judging them based on their vocal ability because Chris Brown is on this list, but it's basically the
So they were
category is basically
so they were judging
uh
vocal prowess, body of work, career longevity, industry achievements, game-changing influence, and enduring generational cultural impact. So
right. So that's a pretty basic list. I think that's a lot of people can meet those checkpoints to an extent. Um, the list number one, who I think I think they really thought. First of all, I'm gonna say there were niggas in the room when this list was made. I'm gonna say that because not only is this list, I'm not gonna say right overall, but it's a good list. I think, and I think there's artists that make this list that if this were a room full of white people or non-black people, they wouldn't have made the list.
mm,
Like Tank is on the list. Like when I saw Tank, I was like, "What? We got some real niggas in the room." Because I mean, it's black people who really aren't even privy to Tank's catalog.
mm.
Shit, I don't know every fucking Tank album or song, but Tank has been able to sustain an R&B career where he's not charting very high, he's not winning a lot of awards, he's not always seen, but you know who he is, and he always finds a way to kind of reinvent himself. Like I give him credit for doing the Pride events. Like that was pretty. I don't want to say groundbreaking because I don't want to give a nigga too much credit, but it
It was
was
a basic show of respect that too many male artists just don't know how to give, particularly from his
right.
era.
Right. Now, granted, money is money. Some people don't give a fuck if it was a room full of dogs and cats.
Mm,
They gonna perform if the check clear.
mm.
But even him doing that is a great gesture to a community who often gets, disregarded or disrespected.
And
Um,
it's the same show he would do for a room full of anybody else, which is
yeah, right, right.
he
So
isn't
it's
even
it's
isn't cover up and try to he's not no there's no apprehension, you know.
right, yeah, he's not up there like wearing a trench coat,
Mm,
covered up.
yeah.
He's up there putting on a show.
Mm.
Now could you say he's exploiting demographic? I mean, all right, that's another topic for another day.
I would
But
I mean he's trying to sell records. I mean and he's that's part of his one, so he's trying to sell to, which I mean capitalism. But I
yeah,
mean, so but in terms of what I've seen over the years, in terms of him talking about it in the interviews, things like that, he seems to just have like a basic, I respect you as a human being, I respect you as a fan, live, let live, which is fine
mhm,
with me
right,
anyway.
right.
Then Tyrese,
Joe, yeah, yeah. Speaking of, Tyrese wasn't on the list, was he? I don't think Tyrese was on the list.
I don't know, I'm not sure if he was.
I don't think Tyrese was on the list, and I thought that was someone who should have been on there. Gerald Levert wasn't on it. That was someone who I thought.
Oh, okay,
And
that's true,
then,
yeah.
uh, and niggas gave me grief for saying Brian McKnight should have been on it. Like I
Oh,
know,
Brian
okay, I know he's
McKnight.
done some shit lately that
Yeah,
makes him unsavory.
a sociopath.
Um, yeah, he's very weird. I will not defend him personally, but when we're talking straight music, I think he had a run that could get him on the list. Now, who you got to take off? That's a different topic.
Mm.
Um, I think you could take off Summer Walker, but also I don't want to be the old person. Because
Uh,
you have to
but
have
she's very new. I mean, I think I mean, maybe put her maybe like low. Well, I don't know. She was 74 on the list. I mean, she was like second to the bottom. So,
right. So it kind of
um,
shows it shows just how her career, but also it's. I think the list gives credit to and some shine to the newer artists who don't
mm,
have that longevity, but they've been around long enough to be considered. Like her, when I say her, Her, Summer
SZA.
Walker, SZA, even Lettucey made the list. And, Lettucey is one of those people who a lot of people who like quote unquote real singers always mention, why don't she Lettucey should be selling out. Lettucey, blah blah blah, whatever. But Leslie's a great artist.
I was gonna say this. Well, I think sometimes that gets to a thing of like great voice, but is the material designed to match the voice and present it in a way that it will, create a hit song. Because
Right,
you can riff and run and build all day long, but can you transport that into a song that people want to listen to over
right.
and over again? It's like a
Can you
great
make it hit?
it's like a great battle rapper. Can that battle rapper transform that into being a great songwriter?
Hmm.
You know?
Which is a very real thing. I didn't see Monica on the list, man. I kind of
Oh
feel hurt
yeah.
about that. Like, you gotta have Monica on there, man. Monica had like this woman been doing this since she was like what 15.
Hmm.
So you gotta give her flowers. She's had a great career, and I think she should have made the list. What did you think about the top five?
Who was the top five? Let me
So
pull
number
up real
one was
quick.
Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
I think number two was Aretha Franklin.
Uh,
Three was
three was Michael. So two was
yeah,
Aretha Franklin. Three was Michael Jackson. Four was Beyonce, and five was Whitney Houston.
right. And I
Yeah.
think that's fair. Now I know some people had issue with Beyonce being over Whitney Houston, but let's be real, y'all. Let's be real. Like
If I
the
mean if you were
'90s.
if you were going for just well, go ahead what you want to say.
Well, I was saying like Whitney Houston had a great career. Like you got people that will cut off their arm to have a Whitney Houston career.
Mm.
However, that dark side came and that dark side hit like a motherfucker. Like the '90s were like I've never seen an artist have a great decade and a bad decade like that. Like she was on top of the world with like the bodyguard.
Well, I mean, she
Um,
basically was booked the whole 90s. I mean,
right,
if
but
you
then
could
that
just, well, I mean, in a way that like the rundown could, I mean, it's almost
right.
inevitable. So,
Right, but that later part, like after waiting to excel, it kind of started taking like well, or the preacher's wife.
well, you just, all right. So, quick rundown. Just for, I'm a witness here, so just let me just geek out for a second. But I mean, like, so 1990, I mean, Baby Night comes out. She goes on tour.
Mhm.
That ends in 91, late fall 91, Bodyguard starts shooting. Bodyguard fancy shooting, of course, the soundtrack comes out at 92, blows up, like probably bigger than they expected it to. 93, she goes on the Bodyguard tour. That tour lasts from 93 to the end of 94. Fall 94, guess who's calling? Forrest Whitaker, Waiting to Exhale time. 95, she Waiting to Exhale, she does a soundtrack, talking about them. She sings three songs, but also helps curate the soundtrack. Does a few dates here and there. I'm not sure there's a full tour, but as soon as that ends, who's on the phone now? Denzel, Preacher's Wife time. Preacher's
Mhm.
Wife acts in the movie, does the soundtrack. After that, 9-7, Cloud's like, time to go back to your day job. Time for another album. My Love Is Your Love. So My Love Is Your Love, 98 quarters in like 6 weeks, goes on the My Love Is Your Love tour, probably because her dad took all of her money from what the movie said. So that tour alone is in 99, because all over 99, greatest album was out 2000. So 10 years
Yeah,
solid, just like
just
going,
booked it busy,
So
and
I'm not surprised that things started to go off the rails, in addition to, of course, what
mhm.
we know as far as, the addiction, things like that. But yeah.
Right. So yeah, it went off the rails. So Whitney Houston had obviously the '80s and '90s, right? And then you got Beyonce who had the late '90s, the 2000s, the tens, and now the '20s. Like you could even make the argument that she's in her prime right now, which is very interesting. Consider how long her career's been.
Well, in terms of vocal prime, usually a woman's voice matures in her like her mid 30s. So the vocal prime tends to be like 30s to the 40s, going to the 50s, actually.
I'm also meaning like her
Oh, like
artistic
career
or
prime.
like
Okay, yeah,
or
yeah.
career, yeah, like career
Mm-mm.
prime.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can make the argument like this is her best work, like the past two albums and
Mm,
tours and whatnot.
yeah.
And that's something that we don't really see. 'Cause our first episode goes back to can Beyonce flop and does she have to flop? And I
Mm,
remember you had the famous argument that she needs to flop because every diva that level has a down project or a down moment. And Beyonce has like she's become the exception, you know.
mm.
I mean you could say maybe four, but that's not four really wasn't a down
She's
moment.
never had like an undeniable flop era. to where like
Right,
nothing worked, nothing clicked. The album didn't click with anybody. The tour didn't really do anything. Like she's never really had that happen across the board,
right.
and
Like go back to
to
the
where people,
drawing board, my nigga.
to where people were saying like she's over. Like Janet had that with the Super Bowl. Uh,
Mariah.
Mariah had it with at the Glitter. Madonna had it at the Erotica and American Life. Like all divas have had unequivocal flop periods, quote unquote. But Beyonce really hasn't. So.
Right. So I think that alone is why I would say her being over Whitney Houston isn't blasphemy like a lot of people thought it was.
Yeah. I think because I think in terms of like just take in terms of singing ability. Now, if we go on like technical singing, I would put Whitney over Beyonce.
And that's fair. That's fair. Like a lot of people cannot fuck with Whitney Houston. And that's just that, you know.
Yeah, but if you go on like you said, full career progression, this is gonna be controversial, but I would say I would put Beyonce because I do feel like, for whatever reason outside of control, personal struggles, whatever they have you, the era she came up in. I think with Whitney, I feel like My Love Is Your Love was the start, could have been the start of like a new era of her career where things were like were a little bit looser.
Mm,
There was less focus on being like, having these big broad ballads and big pop hits, and where
mm.
she could be a bit more bit quirkier, a bit grittier in her music and in her style. And that promise never got really fulfilled, I believe. You know.
No, I agree.
So
Yeah, we
unfortunately.
got robbed of that due to all the personal
Mm,
things, the addiction, the just everything, just kind of like you said, that grind caught up to her,
mm,
and it had pretty horrible results.
mm,
It was never the same after that.
mm.
Because this machine will eat you alive, and I think that's one thing that makes Beyonce so special is that the grind hasn't beaten her up like that. Um, now, when it's all said and done, I'm sure she might be more vocal about the tougher parts of her career, like obviously which we kind of know of with the elevator moment. The
Mhm.
elevator moment was like when that was kind of like the first time
A scene
the
show.
yeah, that was like the first time shit looked like it might go off the rails. Like it was like,
Mm.
whoa. And even then, it wasn't really her, it was her sister. It wasn't like
But that wig gave it away. That was a fighting wig.
and then, I think that was around the
I
time
choose
when
a Val's
she
wig.
was that around the time when she cut her hair, or was that before she cut her hair? When she had the
Solange.
bangs? No,
Oh,
Beyonce.
that night she had her hair like pulled back in like a little, like pulled
Yeah.
back in like just a swoop,
So I
something
think I
simple.
think the
Um,
bangs and stuff that was
oh,
before that.
this was 2014. This would have been like at the end of like the self-titled era. So,
Okay, yeah. And I know a lot of people make jokes about it, like, damn, that woman was crying for help when she had
uh,
it.
I think well, actually, it was another artist. Shirley Manson from the group Garbage, the singer.
Yeah.
She was saying that when she saw Beyonce sort of performing in that era, as she heard it out, she said, "Oh, something's going on in her marriage."
Mm,
You know, uh, which turned out to be true. So I guess I don't know. I didn't pick up on it. I don't know if I picked up on it at the time, but it may have been some she was working out. Something was being worked out in that album, and then we all saw something else was happening in the elevator. So,
right. Um, but I think the list was solid. I think Stevie Wonder being number one is just the perfect choice. I mean, that's an artist whose career just went over so many timelines, so many hits, so much impact, so much
mhm.
influence. It just and then he ain't got no shit to him. You know what I'm saying? Like Stevie Wonder, like what's the worst Stevie Wonder scandal that he might be able to see? Like no one really, there's no real controversy when it comes to Stevie Wonder. Um,
Was a Brother Flack on the list?
yes, she
Okay, never
was. Um, I think I told you, I was like, well, Jock, he probably could have been on there, and I think you laughed.
mind. I mean, I don't know because Jaheim, I mean, he had like a brief kind of thing happening with a couple of songs like Just in Case and anything and a few and couple I mean he had like from 99 to like '02 maybe he had like he had like a little run, but I don't know if it was enough to like get him on a list.
Right. I thought Big Joe being on there was cool because
Mm,
Joe's another artist. He's got more hits than a Tank, but
mm,
he's somebody who has that longevity, you know.
mm,
And he kind of deserves his flowers while he's still here.
mm.
Um, who else was someone I thought that could have made the list? I already said Mark. I said Joe Levert. I don't think now Cisco. I know he's a group guy, but Cisco, I think maybe he could have made like the bottom rung.
I think had his second album worked, second solo album worked, I think he probably would have made the list. Because that first album, it sold. Yeah, I mean, of course you had
Mm,
Thong Song, but you also had how
incomplete.
incomplete and like how I think it was How Deep Is Your Love or whatever the first single
Oh,
was.
him and DMX. Oh yeah, no, how deep is your love? Well,
Yeah,
no. Then
something.
he had that y'all niggas gonna make me unleash the dragon.
Okay,
Y'all don't really want me to.
that was on the first album. Okay,
Yeah.
but I think if that second album had done better, I think it would have put it more in that conversation. Because I mean, like I
Right.
said, he coming out of the group and then just having that big of a success. I mean, it kind of put him up there for a minute.
Yeah. The thong
Um,
song was man, you couldn't escape thong song.
hmm yeah.
But
Well,
Sade,
well, we were
I
arguing about
thought that was a yeah.
this because the part of they said they only included solo artists, not groups. So they may have considered Sade a group, not the person Sade. So maybe.
And that's like, I guess, like it's like a technical, like technically, yes, it is a group, but however, but
Mm.
I guess, you know,
Was
I
Millie
guess.
Jackson on there?
I think Millie Jackson was on there.
Mm.
And who else was on there that I was shocked by? Hold on. She was in the Dream Girls, and she was in the Supremes too.
Mary Wilson.
I think it was it one name. Who was all who are the Supremes?
Uh, Mary Wilson, Don Ross, Florence Ballard, and like Cindy Bird song with the main, as far as when they're in their initial run. So,
I had to go back to the list. But
okay.
oh, Phyllis Hyman being on the list
Oh yeah,
was a
yeah, yeah,
huge surprise.
yeah,
That's how I said you had niggas in the room when you was making the list. Because Phyllis
yeah,
Hyman's a deep, deep cut.
yeah.
And so I think it was a solid list. It was one of the better lists. I think it was better than anything Rolling Stone put out in a while. And for the Breezies, yes, Chris Brown is on the list.
Where did he get to? Where did he put
He
him
was
at?
like I think he was like in the low 20s, 30s.
Hmm. Yeah.
So overall, I think it was cool. I mean, it's lists. Lists are so uh subjective, you know.
Yeah.
Some people probably have a problem with Stevie Wonder being number one or Prince is too low or whatever. Fuck. But
Well, who's it? He was Prince was like number seven, I believe. So,
I think yeah, Prince is like 6 or 7, yeah.
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. R. Kelly was on there, so I can't I mean
But, I mean, shoot, whatever. I mean, Marvin had his issues. He was in the top 10. So,
right. So shit, Michael Jackson too, shit.
yeah,
But you know. But that is pretty much wrapping up our episode. Thank you all for listening once again. Thank you all for the support. It means so much to have people reach out and say, "Hey, I really enjoyed the episode." Hey, I like that moment where y'all made this comment. I really relate to this. So thank you for that. Continue the constructive feedback. Please continue to listen, share with all that stuff. Just thanks. It means a lot. We'll be back with another episode before the month ends. Um, not saying we run out of topics because it's always stuff to talk about, but it's been a slow week outside the essence shenanigans. So, but we'll always come up with something because
yeah,
we that's what we do. So, with that being said, I'm Uptown Bobby,
yeah. K Clark.
and we out.